I'd like to welcome the audience to the October 16th, 2018 Parish Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Would you all please stand while Coach Williams says the invocation and pledge.
Dear Lord, again, we come thanking you for allowing us to see another blessed day. We ask your presence in this meeting. We ask that blessing upon the staff. We ask that blessing on this board. We pray for those who come seeking our help tonight. Let the Holy Spirit guide and lead us that we might do it pleasing in your sight. This we offer this day as our prayer. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Coach. Ms. Christie, would you please call the roll?
Chair Art Little.
Here.
Vice Chair Randy Armentor.
Here.
Ms. Latricia Cobb is absent. Ms. Julia Dickerson.
Here.
Ms. Sharon Delicia.
Here.
Ms. Janelle Hyatt.
Here.
Mr. Kyle Link.
Here.
Mr. Jake Porsche.
Here.
Mr. Gary Navarro.
Here.
Mr. Kirk Smith.
Here.
And Mr. LaSalle Williams.
here.
Thank you. This is an 11-member board. It will take the majority of those members present to grant or deny any requests heard here tonight. The chair will refrain from voting unless that vote might affect the outcome. The meeting will be conducted with me reading the requests from the agenda. The planning staff will give a presentation and report their recommendations. If the applicant would like to add to the staff's presentation, or if someone from the audience has a comment, please come to the microphone, state your name, address, and the nature of your request. All persons wishing to speak, other than the applicant, need to fill out a blue card, request to appear form located in the back of the room. The form must be given to a staff member prior to the reading of the agenda item. As required by this board's bylaws, in all cases, the proponents will be limited to 10 minutes. Opponents will be granted 10 minutes as well, with each speaker allowed no more than 3 minutes. I recommend that a spokesperson be selected if there's a large group wanting to speak on the same agenda item. If 4 or more speakers request forms are submitted, the time allotted for individual speakers will be limited based upon the number of forms submitted. The chair has the right to limit speakers who present redundant information or personal attacks. In unique situations, the chair may extend or the board may vote to extend the time allotted for speakers. After discussion, the board will vote on each request. I will announce the decision of the board after the vote. The exceptions and variances requests are final tonight. The rezoning cases will go before the police jury for final action on October the 18th, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. This meeting is being filmed by the Calcasieu Parish Government Channel and can be viewed on Wednesday and Thursday following the meeting. For additional run dates, check the website at www.jppj.net. On Channel 5 in Lake Charles, Sulphur, Moss Bluff, Westlake, Benton, DeQuincy, Gillis. Channel 99 in Corliss and Grand Lake. At this time, I'd like you to please silence all electronic devices. Before proceeding into the meeting, I would like to recognize one of our police jurymen here with us tonight, Mr. Hal McMillan. Thank you for being with us tonight, Hal. We need to take appropriate action to approve the minutes of the September 18th, 2018 Planning and Zoning meeting. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Navarre. Second. And a second by Mr. Link. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
The minutes approved. Agenda item number 6, take appropriate action on VAR 0818-0050, a request by SW Sulphur LLC for a variance to increase driveway radiuses requirement, allowed 15 feet, requesting 35 feet at the at 1800 Patton Street in Ward 4. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
I have a motion by Coach Williams and a second by Mr. Navarre. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located south of Sulphur and encompasses 1 acre of central business commercial zone land. The new Sherwin-Williams store has been permitted at this location. The applicant is requesting the variance on the turning radius to accommodate truck traffic for deliveries. We have not received any written opposition to this request. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. We have no blue cards or no letters. Does any of the board members have any questions or comments? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 7, take appropriate action on EX 0618-0028, a request by Tower Land Company, LLC, for an exception to allow 2 borrow pits, 310 acres total, on the northwest corner of Farbacher Road and Highway 108 West in Ward 7. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Link, seconded by Ms. Dickerson. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located southeast of Benton and encompasses 331 acres of land zoned light industrial and agricultural. This land is a portion of a 12,000 acres recently rezoned to facilitate a mega site. On this portion of the overall site, the applicants are requesting approval to excavate 2 borrow pits. We have not received written opposition to this request. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following stipulations: that the development must be in accordance with section 26-122-1F4 of the Parish Code of Ordinances, that the development must comply with all conditions under ordinance number 7058, that the direct access to Fallbacher Road is prohibited, that a runoff management plan, RMP, will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, and that the permitting is subject to approval of Gravity Drainage District Number 2 of Ward 7.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. We have no blue cards, no letters of opposition. Does any of the board members have any comments or concerns? If not, although, I'm sorry, yes,
Just
ma'am.
a small question. I'm assuming that this, the dirt used from the borrow pits here will be used for part of the mega site? Is that? is my
Mr. Chairman,
assumption?
members of the commission, my name is Tom Gale. Address is 713 Kirby Street, Lake Charles. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. The short answer is no. In theory, it'll be moved off-site from this location and hopefully as part of one of the other developments in the area.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Gale. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 8, take appropriate action on EX 0818-0033, a request by Philip Gazzino for an exception to allow a bar pit, 8.72 acres in the 6900 block of Highway 3256 in Ward 8. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Dickerson,
Second.
seconded by Coach Williams. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located in the Clow area and encompasses 20 acres of agricultural zoned land. If approved upon completion, the pond will be stocked and used for personal use only. We have not received written opposition to this request. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions. That the development must be in accordance with section 26-122-1F4 of the Parish Code of Ordinances, that a road damage bond in the amount determined by the parish engineer must be submitted to the Division of Engineering prior to issuance of a development permit, that utilization of additional parish roads is subject to future bonding requirements in the event parish roads are impacted by heavy truck traffic, that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, that direct access to Highway 3256 is subject to approval of Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, and that permitting is subject to approval of Gravity Drainage District Number 7 of Ward 8.
Thank you, ma'am. We have no blue cards, no opposition. Any of the board members have any questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 9, take appropriate action on EX 09180034, a request by Brandon Marcantel for an exception to allow residential development, manufactured home, in the 500 block of Walker Road in Ward 4. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions. Have a motion by Mr. Link, seconded by Mrs. Galicia. Ms. Tammy.
This property is located in Carlos and encompasses an acre of single-family residential zone land. If approved, the applicant will sell the land to a family member who plans to place a new 32-foot by 70-foot manufactured home on the property. The new owner feels a manufactured home is a more cost-effective option for him. He would like to move to this location because it will allow him to get assistance with his children from his family. We have not received written opposition to this request. Because a similar request was granted by the board and because a manufactured home is not inconsistent with the area, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions. That the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plans in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, and that the manufactured home be skirted prior to the utilities being connected.
Thank you, ma'am. We have no blue cards or opposition. Any of the board members have any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 10, take appropriate action on EX 09180036, a request by George Buller for an exception to allow commercial development daycare at 3015 Davis Road in Ward 4. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Link,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Galicia. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located in the Westlake area and encompasses 3/4 of an acre of single-family residential zone land. If approved, the applicants will sell the land to Ms. Winkamp, the current owner of Kiddin' Around Learning Center, located on Westwood Road. Due to rising rent at the current location, Ms. Winkamp would like to relocate the daycare to this site. The daycare would be located within the existing home, which would be converted to hold 4 classrooms with a capacity of 37 children and 10 employees. We have not received written opposition to this request. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions. That the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plans in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development. That all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development or structures to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties. That screening must be provided along the west and south property lines in accordance with Section 2650 of the Parish Code of Ordinances prior to issuance of an occupational license, and that permitting and occupational licensing are subject to approval of the State Fire Marshal.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. We have no blue cards or opposition. Any of the board members have any questions or concerns? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 11, take appropriate action on RZ 09180093, a request by Brent Saunier to rezone from agricultural A1 to light industrial I1 to allow industrial development, boat repair and welding shop at 7793 Highway 27 in Ward 2. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions. Have a motion by Mr. Link, seconded by Mr. Navarre. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located in the Bell City area and encompasses 1 acre of land. For some time, the applicant has been operating his boat repair business and welding shop at this location. He recently found out about the licensing and zoning requirements for business and would like to bring the business into compliance. Eventually, he would like to pass on the business to his son. We have not received written opposition to this request. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plans in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development or structures to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, that all storage must be located in a building or screened yard, that screening must be provided in accordance with Section 2650 of the Parish Code of Ordinances, that permitting and occupational licensing are subject to approvals from both the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development and the State Fire Marshal, that use is limited to boat repair and welding shop, and that the rezoning is for the applicant and his son only and is non-transferable.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. We have no blue cards or opposition. Any board member have any questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 12, take appropriate action on RZ 0918-0094, a request by Property Wise LLC to rezone from mixed residential R2 to multifamily residential RM to allow multifamily residential development, 6 duplexes at 1368, 1370, and 1386 Georgia Road in Ward 1. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by Mr. Link. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located in Moss Bluff and encompasses 1.6 acres. If approved, the applicant will remove the 3 houses currently on the property and construct the duplexes. Each unit within the duplex will have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms within approximately 600 feet. The applicant is also requesting a variance for the number of units. That request will be considered the next agenda item. We have not received written opposition to this request. Because the proposed use is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the Plan A site plan, 6 duplexes, on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during the development, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development or structures to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, and the development adhere to stormwater best management practices.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. We have no blue cards in opposition. Any of the board members have any questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 13, take appropriate action on VAR 0918-0051, a request by Property Wise LLC for variance to increase the density requirement, allowed 11 units, requesting 12 units at 1368, 1370, and 1386 Georgia Road in Ward 1. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Dickerson, seconded by Mr. Link. Ms. Tammy?
This is the same property discussed in the previous item. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted.
Thank you, ma'am. We have no blue cards in opposition. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 14, take appropriate action on RZ 0918-0096, a request by KWG Properties to rezone from light industrial general commercial C2 and mixed residential R2 to light industrial I1 to update a non-conforming use and allow expansion of the light industrial development machine shop at 500 Ledger Road and 5408 Common Street in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by Mr. Link. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located south of Lake Charles and encompasses over 4.5 acres of land. The machine shop currently at this location has been in existence since the at least 1989. Because the business is now proposing an entirely new building outside of the light industrial zoning, it was determined to be appropriate to rezone the entire site to bring the business and structures into conformity. The proposed new building will be 110 by 215 feet with access from Common Street utilizing existing driveways. The new building will have a brick facade facing Common Street. The applicant will install wood fencing to screen the operations from Common Street. We have not received written opposition to this request. Because the proposed zoning and development is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan and elevations on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plans in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development or structures to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, that a 6-foot wooden privacy fence be installed according to the site plan on file prior to final electrical approval, that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, that permitting is subject to the approval of the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, and that local development permit must be obtained within 1 year of zoning approval or property will revert to original zoning.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. We have no blue cards in opposition. Any of the board members have any questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 15, take appropriate action on RZ 0818-0087, a request by Calcasieu Parish Division of Planning and Development to rezone certain tracts of land from agricultural A1, mixed residential R2, multifamily residential RM, light industrial I1, and manufactured home park RM HP to single-family residential R1 to maintain the residential character of the area, generally off Smith Ferry Road, Sandifer Road, Baker Road, Lofton Road, Willington Road, Rydell Road, and American Legion Road in the Highland Forest subdivision in Ward 4. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by Mr. Link. Ms. Tammy?
In June of this year, the police jury authorized the staff to conduct a reclassification study in the Westlake area. The study area consists of approximately 460 acres of land divided among 229 parcels with 216 property owners. The bulk of the study area is zoned mixed residential with some pockets of other zoning classifications. A survey of the area found approximately 150 single-family homes, 37 manufactured homes, 5 duplexes, a camp area, an RV park, and a mini storage facility with boat and RV storage. Should the rezoning be approved, all existing uses will be allowed to remain under the non-conforming section of the code. We have received a written letter requesting exclusion from the study area and have excluded the light industrial portion of the owner's land from the final proposal. The letter is attached in your tablets.
Thank you, ma'am.
Being that the study area is predominantly single-family dwellings, the staff recommends the majority of properties be reclassified to single-family residential to maintain the residential character of the area. Furthermore, the staff recommends the existing light industrial properties and a portion of agricultural properties remain as is. Do we have the map? There's a final zoning map, right there, that one.
Thank you, ma'am. We have 3 blue cards for this and 1 blue card against. Is the applicant present? Does he have any,
Well, we're the
With
applicant.
I don't know, do you have any comments?
Any proponents, I guess.
Any proponents? We'll call our proponents up first.
Yeah, sure.
Blue card people. Stacy Byrd?
Hold on, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry?
I'm gonna let him go first. We go, I think one is a name.
We got one nay,
Yes.
and so he can go first, and then the
Okay.
opponents
Mr.
can go after him.
Eddie, if you would, state your name and address, please.
Eddie Roach, 3111 Smithberry Road, Westlake, Louisiana. It's more of a clarification. Currently, I live in one of those houses, but it's on the edge of being torn down. It's in bad shape. I'm under the understanding that if it does have to be replaced, that I cannot move a trailer on because now I'm in a house and I can't replace that with a trailer unless it's worth X amount of dollars.
I'm gonna have to ask our staff people.
If they can answer that, I may be for this and I just don't have enough information, but as it stands, I'm against it.
Once it reverts to, if it gets voted as single-family residential, then you can't put a manufactured home on the property as of right. He'd have to come back and get an exception by the board in order to be able to do that.
And does this get an exception cost?
It's an application procedure, yes. You would have to pay for the application, go through that process.
So if it is voted in, then if I can't build a house or afford to get something else, then I'm pretty much out of luck with my family property we've had for over 50 years right there on our road?
Well, it would be permitted for you to have a stick-built home on the property, but no manufactured.
Right, so if I can't afford to build something taxable, then it's not, then my property's useless. For anybody on the road that can't afford to replace our current houses with something of value, then then we lose out. We'd just have to sell our property if we can't afford to build.
Well, I can't answer that, but.
Ms. Tammy? I'm sorry, Ms. Jennifer?
Just very quickly, I just want to verify that the property that we're talking about is indeed in the study area. Could you give us the address?
3111 Smithberry Road.
Okay.
Yeah, it's smack in the middle.
The property as it sits right now, is it zoned for manufactured homes? I was under the understanding that it wasn't.
If it's in the mixed residential area, then yes, you would be allowed to have a manufactured home on that property.
But we don't know what his property is zoned right now.
If it's in the study area on Smith Ferry Road, then the majority of that property is mixed residential.
It's across from catty corner from Gaines Road, if that helps y'all any.
It's on the west side of Smithberry Road.
The side opposite of Gaines.
It's mixed residential. I'm trying to pull it up on the map.
Thank you.
We'll pull it up and find out where it is. Smith Ferry is the road that sort of goes at the angle right there. And,
Y'all had a picture of my neighbor up there earlier with the fence.
It is mixed residential.
It is. Okay, so the staff has confirmed that it is mixed residential at this point. And it's in the study area? Yes.
And would it stay in this mixed residential?
No.
No.
No?
No,
Okay.
it would be rezoned. We're recommending that it be rezoned
Okay.
all residential, single family residential.
So if he come in last month, he'd have been able to
Sticky
get a permit and put a mobile home on it.
You could have.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And would that cost money to get that permit to put the mobile home on it?
Well, yes, permit costs, yes. There's a fee for getting a permit, yes, of course.
Any
How
other-
many residents does this affect? About how many residents does this affect? Did you say 150?
What's the,
146. 150 houses, 156 homes.
And probably, most of them are,
150 single-family.
and most of them are like of
37
my
main.
financial nature, so they probably wasn't aware of this either. And that's our lack of actually finding out what this was about, to do anything.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Does the board have any other questions or comments at this time?
You might wanna
I'd
ask-
like to call,
yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'd like to call on Tracy Bird. You would state your name and address, please, sir.
That's what I was thinking. Is he gonna say?
I'm Stacy Bird. My address is 2670 Whittington Road. It's in the middle of the study. I think the majority of us here are in favor of this R1. And what I'd like for Mr. Roach to understand is, like the previous 12 or 14 items on the agenda, if we rezone this R1 and you make a request at a different time, all you've got to do is come back and do the same type of request that the previous items number 7, 8, 10, and 12 is come before the board, and then they'll grant you that request to move mobile home in if that's necessary. But for the vast majority of everybody else, I think that we're wanting to move towards, and we understand, we spoke to all the residents that are living in mobile homes and stuff and assuring them, look, there's some grandfather clauses in here. We're not trying to bulldoze trailers and all these other things. This is more of a 10, 20, 30-year project of what the neighborhood's gonna look like, not so much what it's gonna look like tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Bird. James Compton?
Good evening, James Compton, 3056 Smith Ferry Road. Because we know the roaches, and that was some of our concern, but Mr. McMillan explained to us, I know my house, Mr. McMillan, but that was our main concern, because we do have people and family and friends that live down there for years and years, and if they needed to bring in a trailer home, we want to make sure they could. And that's, I think it's been explained that if it's an easy enough process for him to do that, we have no problem, because the rest of us, unlike the other gentleman there, R1's what we want, and,
Thank you very much.
all right.
Then the sale, Compton? Net? Thank you, ma'am. That's all the blue cards we have.
So,
Uh,
go ahead, Jake, you may be asking them.
Let me, before we go, Mr. Howell, do you have something you'd like to say?
Thank you. It's always an honor to come up here and address this zoning board, and I know your jobs are very tough ones. I can tell you, we asked the staff to do this study for us on behalf of that. We had a large number of duplexes starting to come into this area. It was all zoned R2. So we wanted to protect the investment of these people in this area. And got with staff, we've talked to a number of people, we've had signs out, and we want to make sure everybody was covered. Now, Mr. Roach maybe wasn't covered or he didn't see it or whatever. We also want to do our best to take care of him, and we have a system to do that. And that's you guys right here. Bringing it to R1 will be a good thing for the lion's share of the people up there. It's going to make sure that we don't have any multi-residents. It's going to make sure that the R2 and the duplexes aren't just dropped upon us. So this is what the people of this district want. We can, on a case-by-case basis, once this is all hopefully rezoned R1, come up here, and when he wants to maybe take that house that's zoned R1 and move it into bring a trailer into it, if there's no oppositions from the neighbors and this zoning board sees fit and it's a rezoning and it comes to the police jury, it could probably be done. Now, I can't commit to, yes, it could be done, but we do have systems to make things work. And if you guys approve it and the neighbors aren't against it, then this could work out just fine on these various case-by-case basis. So that's, I didn't want anybody to get the idea that I can make a ruling from that floor and say, yes, we can do this.
Right.
That's not true.
Correct.
But we do want to work with each applicant. And if somebody else wanted to maybe do something up there, we could look at doing it on a case-by-case basis by running through the zoning board. One of the things he was asking was, the expense. I think it's $200 to put something on the agenda, if I'm right, for this zoning board. Wes, is that correct? $200 is what the permit is to get it on this board, to get your variance or your exception or your rezoning if you need that. So that's kind of the deal there. At times, when there's no opposition and everybody in the neighborhood's okay with it, we could do what's called an administrative review. That I, as a police juror, can sign off on that administrative review, staff can sign off that administrative review, and that doesn't cost you anything. We can get that moving, or is that still $200 fee?
There's a fee involved.
There's a fee involved? You know the price?
Don't take a deep breath, it'll be a fee for
It's
that.
my district, I want it to be free.
This is America.
Take a deep breath on the fee. There's gonna be a fee, but it's around $200. So there's the answer to that question. This would be great, because we did, in this study, find some property that was zoned R2, we didn't know was on the zoned R2, as well as some multi-residents we didn't know was out there. And I just hope this zoning board will give me a unanimous recommendation so I can take it to my group of police jurors to do the same thing. Thank you very much. Any questions for me?
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Howell? Thank you, Mr. McMillan.
Thank you.
Mr. Jay?
Question on the grandfather clause. So there are existing trailers in place under current R2 zoning. At the time, as I understand it, if those trailers become, years from now uninhabitable, they cannot then move a new trailer on in that same spot. Is that correct? Or because of the grandfather clause, they would be allowed to replace a trailer?
They can. There's a time period that you have, a grace period that you have by the time you cut the service off, the electrical service, by the time you get another one on there. I think it's 6 months is what the time frame is. So in other words, if you move a trailer, a mobile home off that property, there's a 6-month period that you have to come in and get your permit and get it hooked back up.
Okay.
And then you can do that. After that 6-month period, then you gotta come back to the board.
Right.
And get an exception by the
Right.
board. It's
Okay.
not a rezoning, it's an exception.
So there is protection for current?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. And just a general comment, I believe this, I've been on the board for a while. This is the first time this many people have shown up actually in favor of something. So, to Mr. Roach, just, with this zoning change, I think the potential there for the value of everyone's property to go up. So if you had a lot and maybe you couldn't, move a trailer on it at that time, but the value of the land is up where you could, and then you still have your asset there where you could sell, maybe relocate and do something similar to what he was doing before.
Yeah.
But-
Thank you, Mr. Jay. Any other questions, comments from the board?
There's a green tag out there.
You can accept it, Mr. Chairman, if you want. I mean, that's a lot of people out
Michael Fontenot, 607 Neal Road, Westlake. So I'm in favor of this. The only thing I would say is on to the grandfathering. I'm on a corner lot of Smith Ferry Road and Neal Road, and we had a grandfather clause for a neighbor further down Neal Road that came in and put a trailer. She stayed in it 3 or 4 months. Some kids took it over, got into drugs and all that kind of stuff. I have a very high asset where I built because it had restrictions on it. I just want to make sure I wouldn't be opposed to Mr. Roach doing something, but I definitely want to go through the right channels and look at it to make sure it doesn't devalue my property or any other neighbor's property in that area. That would be my only concern.
Wes?
Well, if Mr. Roach has a home or a mobile home, well, if it's a home and he tears it down, then in order to put a manufactured home there, he's gonna have to get an exception by the board. But if he already had a mobile home there and he took that one off,
Then it'll be grandfathered.
then it's grandfathered in, then he's under that grandfathering clause, the non-conforming clause. And then there's a 6-month period that person would have in order to get a permit to hook another one back
Maintain.
up.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments by the board? Ms. Christie, can we have a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Mr. Forshade?
Yes.
Mr. Navarre?
Yes.
Ms. Galicia?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Armentor?
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt?
Yes.
9 for.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. Motion carries. Agenda item number 16. Receive report from the, I'm sorry, we got to vote 9-0 and approve. Thank you. We'll wait a minute and let our audience dissipate if they care to. If y'all can get y'all to move quietly. Thank you, Mr. Howell, for showing up always.
Bye, Terry. So, Jenny, hey, I didn't see her. Oh, okay. Bye, y'all.
Jason, I got a son that's 45 years old. And when he talks to that, it's just. What? Really? 45 and 44. 71.
I hate to tell how we.
26.
And then what else? That's good.
Agenda item number 16.
Yeah, please. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, he's the one holding the door. All right, hammer on.
Thank you.
We need to tell that deputy what he's got to do.
Agenda item number 16, receive report from the staff regarding proposed amendments to Chapter 26 of the Calhoun Parish Zone of Ordinance, Code of Ordinance.
Just very quickly.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna let Ms. Tunn read, my little prepared spiel, but, I wanted to tell everyone that you have a hard copy to take home with you. It's, help for insomnia. We're not asking you to take any action tonight. This is just purely an introduction. So,
Thank you.
with that, if it's all right with the chair, I'll turn it over to Ms. Tunn.
Ms. Tammy?
Please bear with me. Under the direction of Police Jury's Planning and Zoning Liaison Group, we have developed a set of proposed amendments to the Zoning and Development Chapter of the Parish Code. Many of the changes are simple in nature, cross-referencing other portions of existing code, eliminating conflicts, clarifying intentions, modifying wording to reflect the new runoff management plan requirements adopted last year, and modifying the typical sections for new streets to reflect the previous adopted space allocation for utilities. There are a few new concepts included, and I would like to briefly give you an overview of each. First, we propose adding a definition for reception facility and adding it as a permitted use in C2 and higher zoning similar to a restaurant that serves alcohol. We also propose adding it as an exception permitted by the board in A1 zoning. Second, we are proposing the allowance of secondary dwelling units. These units can be considered mother-in-law dwellings or pool houses and will be allowed by right as long as certain parameters are met. These include a size limitation in comparison to the main dwelling and the requirement that the unit is site-built. Next, we propose amending the existing driveway access regulations. One amendment would eliminate variances for turning radiuses with the submittal of engineering documentation. Another amendment would require lot frontages to be greater based upon the speed limit of the road. For example, if the road in front of the new lot has a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit, the new lot would need 300 feet of road frontage. The intent is to limit the number of access points and increase safety on these roads. We also are proposing a provision for shared access in cases where these new lots cannot meet the frontage requirements. Finally, we're proposing expansion of our administrative review process. This would allow some requests commonly approved by the board to be done administratively after allowing the public comments. Examples include varying the minimum lot size and varying the number of multifamily units in the urban service area just outside the municipalities. You have been provided a hard copy of the proposed review. We will post the proposal on our website tomorrow for public review and comments. We will present the proposal to you again at the November 13th meeting, where we will ask that you approve the amendments and send them to the police jury for adoption in December.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. Any of the board members have any comments at this time or questions? If not, we'll proceed with agenda item number 17. The next item on the agenda is to advise that the police jury took the following action on September 18th, 2018, with reference to the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board from the September 20th, 2018 meeting. Casino Land, Highway 27 South, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury upheld. Gregory Fontenot, North Perkins Ferry Road, Planning and Zoning denied, police jury overturned. Dorothy Hannah, Goodman Road, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury deferred. KWG Properties, Common Street, withdrawn. Agenda item number 18. The next item on the agenda is to advise that the next regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning meeting will be held on Tuesday, November the 13th, 2018, in the police jury meeting room. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by Ms. Dickerson. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned.